Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com, and this is Salmon Burnt Ends. Well, if you're hanging out in the barbecue community online, you might have noticed a while back our friend Susie over at Hey Grill Hey had been turning anything she could into burnt ends. And one of the things that caught my eye was the salmon burnt ends. So today I wanted to give it my own go. I want to do my own spin on it. Appreciate you, Susie. Great idea. Is it burnt ends? I don't know about that, but it is tasty nuggets of salmon barbecue goodness, and we're gonna give it our best shot. So first thing we're gonna do is fire up the smoker, and today we're cooking on the Yoder smokers offset, the loaded Wichita. First thing I'm gonna do is fill a chimney with some of our Kamado big block charcoal. We're gonna get this lit up. Put some fire starters down. We're just gonna let this go until it's hot all the way to the top. Next, we're gonna do a little bit of knife work for our salmon. Now we got this whole fillet here. There's no point in cooking like the belly in a burnt end style because it's not thick enough to do that. So I'm just gonna take the belly off. It's the same thing I did when I tested this recipe, and that turns into a really nice spring roll later on. It's still very good eating, but the same thing down here with the tail where it starts to get really thin. I'll just go ahead and take that off. That's a portion for another meal. And then I'm gonna square this guy up. And the rest of it, we're just gonna cut into cubes just like you would for burnt ends. It's about 1.5 inch, 2-inch cubes. This is already skin off. If you wanna do this with the skin on, you absolutely can. I don't wanna mess with taking the scales off today. And to be honest, it's kind of nice to have the same texture all the way around for a burnt end. We're just gonna get all these cubed up, and that way we can get seasoning on all sides of our salmon burnt ends. So next we're gonna hit it with some seasoning. Today we're using the Lane's Barbecue Kunami. This stuff is so good. It's got kind of an Asian flair to it because it's got the togarashi in it. Got some citrus in it, some ginger, some coriander. And I'm not gonna worry about flipping all 4 sides necessarily, but we're gonna hit 2 sides really well with our seasoning. And then this is all gonna be finished with a glaze that it gets coated in the end. And then as we transfer these to our wire rack, we're actually gonna cook them on the wire rack so that we don't have to make a whole bunch of different moves here. But as I do that, I can kind of roll this around and get all 6 sides of the burnt end, get a little seasoning on. Charcoal's hot, so we're gonna dump it. And we wanna make sure that we get this kind of isolated to the back half of the firebox. That's where we're actually gonna have our fire going. So we'll throw 1 split on top. We're gonna take our next split and put it right here in the front of the firebox so it's gonna warm up. That way when we roll it over, instantly is going to ignite. No bad smoke. But we've got our grill stabilized between 225 and 250. That's gonna be our set point, kind of what we're aiming to stay at. So whole thing's going in there. That way we're not pulling individual pieces out. Let's close this up, let it get some smoke. We're gonna bring these up to about 125 internal and then toss them in some sauce. Now this is not gonna be a long smoke. Those little burnt ends, they're probably gonna take 30 minutes tops to get to 125, that target temperature that we're looking for before we glaze and then return them to the smoker. So what we gotta do now is put together that glaze. So the top of the firebox would be just warm enough to warm up this sauce. We're starting with a couple tablespoons of unsalted butter. We're gonna add to that 1/2 cup of our Smoke on Wheels Kansas City bootleg barbecue sauce. And I want to add to that a couple tablespoons of maple syrup and then a couple tablespoons of sriracha. Get the yellow bird, blue agave sriracha sauce, really tasty stuff. So a little bit of spice to it. We'll whisk all this together and we'll just let it kind of gently warm here until our salmon burnt ends come off. We're right at a half hour into this smoke, and we've hit that 125 that we're going for. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take these off the grate gently. We're gonna get them in a bowl so we can put our glaze over the top. So now we're gonna take that warm glaze and pour it right over the top. And we're just gonna roll each one of these around in here to get them coated and then back onto the rag. All right, so now back into the smoker. Those are now gonna go until they reach about 140 internal. Let's roll another log over. Immediately ignites because it's nice and warm already. We're not gonna need it, but I'll throw one more in to warm up just in case. Our smoked salmon burnt ends are now all temping up in that 135 to 140 range. That sauce is tacked up on the outside. We're ready to eat these. All right, let's get a taste here. That is some smoky goodness right there. Took on a lot of smoke in that 55-ish minutes that it took to cook these all the way through, which is another great thing about these. You can have them done in less than an hour. Man, that's a lot of flavor in just one little bite. I love that kunami. I love some of those flavors that it's bringing from the togarashi. And then the barbecue sauce glaze on the outside, really nice. Getting just a little bit of heat out of that sriracha. Super tender. Is it a burn-in? That's kind of a cheat, but it is really delicious, and you guys should give it a try. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out atbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoyed the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to atbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.